Hello guys, welcome to World Zero, where choosing the right class is the difference between feeling like a legendary warrior or a wandering peasant with a glorified stick. This game offers a wide range of classes, each with unique abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. Some classes make you feel like an unstoppable force, obliterating everything in your path, while others make you question why they even exist. In World Zero, classes define your playstyle. Are you a spell-slinging sorcerer, a relentless berserker, or a sneaky assassin? The game offers melee fighters, ranged damage dealers, summoners, tanks, and hybrid classes. Each one has its own skill set and mechanics, meaning some classes shine in PvE dungeons while others dominate in PvP. So, to help you avoid the tragic mistake of investing in a lackluster class, we've ranked them all from D tier to S tier. And don't forget that this is my tier list. It's natural to have different opinions. Before we start the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's start with the D tier. This is the basement of the tier list. The D tier is where classes end up when they're just a little too underwhelming. They might have a cool concept, but in execution, they're like that guy who shows up to the party and says, "I'm the life of the party," only to stand in the corner sipping soda all night. It's not that these classes are terrible, but they definitely don't bring the bang for your buck. Here, you're looking for a little more than just disappointment. Arcane Mage. The Arcane Mage might sound like a wizard of untold power, capable of casting devastating magic, but in reality, they're more like a person who knows a lot of big words but can't really use them. Sure, the spells are flashy, but they don't hit hard enough to make you feel like a real powerhouse. You'll be sitting there casting away while your enemies are out there having a blast, wrecking your defenses. It's the magic equivalent of pulling out a fancy wand and then realizing it's just a glow stick. Swordmaster. The Swordmaster has all the potential to be an absolute legend. They wield a sword like no other, but sadly, their abilities don't quite stack up to the hype. You'd think a Master of Swords could tear through the battlefield like butter, but instead, you're left swinging your sword like it's a pool noodle. It's just not enough to make an impact. So, while you're out there looking like a total badass with your sword, your enemies are laughing as they brush off your attacks. Defender. If you're looking for a wall to hide behind, the Defender is your class. But here's the catch. They're so good at just standing there and taking damage, they forget that maybe doing something in return might be nice. The Defender's role is to absorb damage, sure, but when it comes to dishing out their own, they're more like a kid who forgot their homework. You can sit there and take hits for your team, but you're not exactly out there saving the day. Now, continue with the C tier. The C tier is where you find the class that isn't bad, but isn't exactly thrilling either. They're like a solid 610, decent but not quite game-changing. These classes will get the job done, but you won't be the one stealing the show. They have their moments, but those moments tend to be fleeting. At least they're reliable, right? Paladin. Paladins are the knights in shining armor, ready to protect their allies with their holy powers. But here's the catch. While they're great at defense and keeping the team alive, their offensive abilities often leave something to be desired. They're like the guy who's always there when you need him, but never takes the spotlight. Sure, they can tank damage and heal, but when it's time to lay down the hurt, the Paladin just isn't as threatening as other classes. If you want to be a solid support character and keep your team standing tall, Paladin's got your back. If you want to kick some serious ass though, you might want to look elsewhere. Now, we are talking with the B tier. These classes aren't revolutionary, but they'll get the job done and do it well. If you're the kind of player who likes consistency and doesn't mind playing something that's just a step below God mode, then the B tier is where you'll find your groove. They're reliable, and they get things done, but they won't be winning any MVP awards anytime soon. Elementalist. Elementalists are like the jack of all trades of magic. They can control fire, water, air, and earth. Sounds great, right? But the issue here is that they're not quite as effective as you'd hope. The versatility is there, but the damage output often feels spread too thin across multiple elements. It's like having a Swiss Army knife. Cool, but you're never really using the best tool for the job. While you've got the power of the elements at your disposal, you're not quite the superhero of the game just yet. Still, when used well, the Elementalist can bring some serious power to the table. Guardian. The Guardian is the ultimate team player. They're built to tank damage and hold the line, making sure your team can dish out the damage without worrying about getting wiped out. The problem is, while Guardians can take a hit, they're not exactly ones to dish it out. It's like being the bodyguard who stands between the action but never actually steps into it. If you want someone to stand tall and keep your enemies at bay while your team does the heavy lifting, the Guardian's your guy. But if you're looking for a class to carry the team and make a dent in the enemy's forces, you might want to look elsewhere. Warlord. The Warlord is the balance between offense and defense. Not as tanky as a Guardian, not as offensive as a Berserker, the Warlord fills a nice middle ground. They're the dependable class that can hold their own in a fight, dishing out solid damage while also staying alive long enough to make a difference. You'll be good in both solo play and team-based scenarios. But even though the Warlord is versatile and reliable, there's nothing too flashy about them. They won't dominate the battlefield, but they'll definitely pull their weight. Let's be serious, A-tier. The A-tier classes are strong, reliable, and downright fun to play. They have the potential to be the backbone of any team, capable of both dealing damage and surviving the toughest situations. They're just shy of reaching that perfect balance, but with the right player behind them, they can definitely hold their own and make waves. Berserker. The Berserker is all about pure, unrelenting aggression. They're fast, they hit hard, and they have enough health to withstand some hits. But here's the catch. You've got to be willing to sacrifice a bit of defense for that raw power. The Berserker is all about charging into the fray, swinging wildly, and hoping you can survive long enough to wipe out your enemies. If you're the kind of player who loves taking risks and going all in, this class will make you feel like a total badass. But just remember, one misstep and you'll be back to respawning. Dual Wielder. The Dual Wielder is fast, nimble, and hits like a freight train. With two weapons in hand, they deal massive amounts of damage in quick succession, making them a nightmare for enemies who get too close. You're all about speed, damage, and making your enemies regret ever getting in your way. But the speed comes at a price. If you're not careful, you might get overwhelmed. If you can keep up the pace though, you'll be cutting down enemies left and right in the blink of an eye. Mage of Light. The Mage of Light is the shining beacon in the dark. With the power of light at your fingertips, you can deal damage, heal your allies, and provide buffs to the entire team. It's a class built for versatility and support, but it's no slouch when it comes to offensive power either. You've got the ability to control the battlefield with your light-based abilities, healing your allies, and wiping out enemies in a flash. You're like the ultimate team player, capable of doing it all, but the class isn't quite as overpowered as the top-tier picks, making it a great choice for a balanced gameplay style. And finally, we reach the S tier, powerhouses. These classes are the absolute best of the best. If you want to feel like an unstoppable force of nature, these are the classes you want to play. They're powerful, flexible, and downright devastating in the right hands. These classes don't just win, they make you feel like a legend. Spirit Archer. The Spirit Archer is all about precision and speed. You're not just shooting arrows, you're commanding the very spirit of the bow to strike down your enemies from afar. The damage is high, the range is fantastic, and you can pick off enemies one by one before they even know what hit them. If you like to stay at a distance, take out enemies without getting caught in the middle of the chaos, the Spirit Archer is your go-to. You'll feel like a sniper taking down targets from across the battlefield with deadly accuracy. Demon. The Demon class is the epitome of destruction. High health, high damage, and the ability to sustain yourself in battle, the Demon is a wrecking ball of power. You're not just fighting, you're slaughtering your way through the enemy ranks, ripping apart anything that stands in your way. The Demon's strength is unmatched, and when you play them well, you'll feel like an unstoppable force of nature. It's raw, brutal, and powerful, everything a top-tier class should be. Dragoon. The Dragoon is the ultimate warrior of the skies. With devastating aerial attacks, they swoop down on their enemies with incredible speed and strength. The Dragoon's mobility is unmatched, and their ability to strike from above makes them a nightmare in battle. You'll be leaping into action, dealing massive damage, and then flying out before your enemies even know what happened. It's a class built for speed, power, and sheer dominance. If you're looking to soar above the battlefield, the Dragoon will take you to new heights. Summoner. The Summoner is the master of minions, able to call forth creatures to do their bidding. You're not fighting alone. You're sending wave after wave of monsters to crush your enemies while you sit back and watch the chaos unfold. The sheer power of this class comes from the minions, and they're not the useless cannon fodder of other classes. They're smart, deadly, and ready to fight at your command. You control the battlefield with your summons, and your enemies won't know what hit them. And there you have it. Every class in World Zero ranked from D tier to S tier. Whether you prefer brute force, magic, or minions, there's a playstyle for you. Some classes are simply superior, but at the end of the day, the best class is the one you have the most fun playing. If you're the type who enjoys being an untouchable force of destruction, S tier is where you want to be. If you like a challenge, maybe try making a D tier class work and let us know how that goes. We'd love to see it. Whatever you choose, just remember, pick wisely, fight smart, and most importantly, have fun.